New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Hello.
It's Rockin the Love, and she's Robyn,
And he's Gil, and I'm Gil. Sometimes I am Gil.
How are you all today? We are just happy to be here with you on this Wednesday morning, afternoon, evening. I don't know, whatever it is where you are. We're happy to be here. Welcome.
So we want to invite you to like us and let us know where you're coming in from on the chat. And you may not know us. This may be the first time you're here. You may know us from workshops or from something we've done in the past. We've done so many things.
We like to do workshops and classes and hang out with people and do discussion groups and all those different kinds of things. And our whole thing is about helping people be a little more in touch with who they are, that they can be more of the people they want to be.
Yes. And in touch with the love. And speaking of love, welcome, Shay. We're so glad you're here. Shay is our New Thought Media Network angel. She floats around and spreads the love to all. So we're glad she's here. So today we are going to be talking about what?
We are talking about detoxing or cleansing the mind and spirit. What do you think about that? That sounds kind of challenging. And you might be asking, well, what's that have to do with relationship? Because isn't this a show about relationship? Well, yes. And I would say what it has to do with is
everything.
I am really lousy at relationship if I am not clear with myself. So there you go. It's all about me. I mean, I think that may be true for other people too.
But he really believes it's all about him. Don't be mistaken. But it is true for all of us. Because if we're not clear, we can't show up and be there for others in an authentic way, or an authentic to God way. We may be authentically bitchy.
No.
Well, no, but no, really. No, I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll get more into that. But before that, what a week it's been.
What a week it's been. Indeed.
So how about you out there, Shay? How was your week? I know in my world, a lot of people, it seemed like most people were committed to not watching the inauguration and not being a part of it and not thinking about it. Others of us put it on and sat there and watched it. So it was an interesting week, though. It's been an interesting week. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think it's going to be it is, in fact, a time for all of us to really examine who we are and who we want to be. You know, we have people at the top yelling and screaming about how we should be all about ourselves, and that means basically if you're the right gender, the right skin color, the right whatever, then you fit in. And if not, then you don't. And so then we're not for you. We want to be sure we build enough walls to keep people out. Interesting, most places that have walls have them to keep things in. And that's one of my concerns about where things are headed. That in fact, that's the intention in the long run, is to create a way to keep us from escaping. That would be really, really scary, you know?
Yeah, and I hear a lot of fear out there. I just spent time talking with someone who is very scared about what's next, and are they going to be monitoring our speech, and is there any platform where we can speak freely, and are we all going to have to go to YouTube, and what's going to happen, and and I'm really, this for me, and just an idea, if you like it, take it. I'm just staying out of all of that, because if I start to go down that road, I'm just making it up. And
Right.
I just think it's really a call to action, a call to love, a deeper call to love. And so I invite you all to join me, because the world's going to need it.
I think there's plenty of people who have been drawn outside the circle in the last week. And with that, it brings us the opportunity to do our best to draw them back in, and to offer them a circle where they are apart. And like you said, to be aware, to be vigilant, to be not to make up what might happen, but to be clear and aware of what is happening.
Right.
So that we can be responsive, and we can bring love into the room. We can bring truth into the room wherever that is needed.
Right.
So, that's, what a week. What a week. We did do a little wondering about what was happening in the helicopter when President Biden flew away from the White House. I think we settled on he was probably doing a little dance, going, "Yes, I'm out of here."
It's got to be a relief, even though it's scary. But
I'm sure there's a part of him that's very sad, but another part that's just like, "Oh my God, I can't do anymore, and I've got to let it go."
Yeah.
So I did all I could do, and here it is.
Yeah, and Shay says that she's been purifying her mind and spirit. It's been challenging. She's feeling a shift and moving forward in the direction of my own dreams and endeavors. Yeah, and I think that's what you have to do. Like someone asked me yesterday, how are you doing it? Because they felt scattered and like they couldn't focus, and just fearful at every turn and not sure which way to go. And I think what you're saying, is it's like as you do some of that clearing and cleansing, you can anchor what you really want. And just living in this philosophy, if we really are walking our talk and believing what is our truth and our highest good, then that's where we put our attention and we focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
And the world will be a better place.
We continue to see the highest good in everything, and to be open to what that might be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some good news. Give me some good news. I think you're going first.
I'm going first today. All right. Well, I was fascinated by this little piece for a couple of reasons, but one was that I thought it was so cool that this guy in Tanzania has begun repurposing cement bags, used cement bags, by putting a small solar panel, flexible solar panel on them, creating a backpack, which gives kids who have this little backpack the opportunity to have a reading light at night. because in Tanzania, many households are being lighted by kerosene lanterns.
Wow.
And one, I guess it's pretty expensive for those to be run all the time, comparatively, and some parents aren't too thrilled about letting their kids use them because they don't want to burn down where they live. So it creates a thing. Anyway, so he started making these on his own and was able to sell them at a price that was about the same as a half month of kerosene.
Wow.
Which meant, for a pretty small investment, somebody now has something that can continually give them reading light every night for quite a while. They're now up to a demand of around $13,000 a month, and he has 85 people or something like that working with him to make those. They're not keeping up, but they're doing their best. They've got some support and funding from a couple different places now, different organizations. And at any rate, what struck me was that kids would want a backpack with a solar panel so that they could read at night. And the last thing they kind of touched on in the article was that there's been a movement among young people of realizing that if they want to change anything, they have to get their education and move forward. And so there's kind of a, there's a groundswell in terms of people figuring out how better to get their education, maintain their process. And this is one of the things that helps.
And this is across the globe?
This is across Tanzania in particular.
Nice.
I'm not sure if it's gone anywhere else, but it's particularly there.
No, I just wondered the study. That's great.
Yeah, but it's fascinating, and it certainly brings up the ignorance that we see in our world, and the banning of things that people can read, and all of that stuff. While there are those who are honestly seeking to actually broaden their understanding of the world. So there you go. I thought that was great news.
That is great news. That is great news. My story is related to the fires in Los Angeles. And while I know there was many, many great stories that have been coming forth from the tragedy, this one is about a brain surgeon and his son that saved 5 Malibu homes. And they ignored the evacuation warnings, and instead they put into action an emergency plan to save their house and their neighbor's house. And the doctor, brain surgeon, had been preparing for years, and he had bought, because of the tendency to have tragedies and fires and things in that area, he planned for the wildfire things to. He bought high pressure hoses and professional firefighting gear and flame retardant home building materials. And they trained and learned about disaster preparedness so that they would be ready. And so as a result of this, the father and son and local firefighters, of course, and another neighbor saved 5 homes along the beach where so many others burned down completely. And just, it's just, to me, when people really step in and step up and risk their life, for what they believe and what they can do for somebody else, I'm always moved,
Yeah. What's amazing to me is all the homes that burnt along the beach. It's rather ironic that you're right there with all of that water, which you probably can't even use. And yet there you are, and these homes are burning down. But somebody that's intentional and has thought ahead, like you said, flame retardant materials in their building to begin with, various supplies that they could use when the time came that they needed them.
Mhm.
Wow. And then to not just protect their own house, but
Right.
to maintain as many as they could, which I'm sure they would have maintained the whole block, whatever,
Yeah.
if they could have. But
Right.
but there, you do what you can, and in that situation, saving 5 was pretty darn huge.
Yeah, pretty amazing. So that is our good news. That people are out there doing good things and
caring about one another.
taking care of each other. So we're going to take a break and then come back, and we'll take care of you right here as we talk about
cleansing your mind and your spirit, so that we can all become we can all be the people we want to be.
Yeah. We can let go of the fear and the doubt and the worry and the rhetoric that goes on in our heads. So come back and join us here on New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Get inspiration in an instant. God calls are the gentle and uplifting moment of truth to help you remember that the bright light of God's love is shining right now as you.
It's your God Call with Reverend Bill.
Start your 2-week free trial today, and you'll get a phone call 4 times a week from Reverend Bill with an uplifting half-minute message filled with insight, wisdom, story, and fun.
Let your light shine.
You can answer the call to listen to it live or let it go to voicemail so you can hear it later. After the free trial, your subscription is just $5.95 a month. The details are at godcall.org. God calls are disruptive, intentionally.
Whenever you write something, put on a gold star.
They take you away from your routine to remind you about the truth of who you really are. They come at random times between 8:15 a.m. and 6 p.m., so you won't be expecting them. And somehow, the message is exactly what you need to hear at the time.
Magic is loose in the world.
It's a moment of motivation in the middle of your day. Find out more and start your 2-week free trial now at godcall.org.
Hi, we're pretending we're in makeup. I'm fixing his hair. Welcome back to Rockin the Love. I'm Robyn.
And I'm Gil. Oh, look at that. And it's Piglet. I didn't even see you could see Piglet there. Look at that. Hi, everybody. We are here on Rockin the Love and loving the fact that you're joining us today. We would love to hear from everybody, letting us know what they're thinking, questions you have, thoughts you have, whatever about what we're talking about. What are we talking about?
We're talking about cleansing the mind, body, and spirit.
Detoxing, right? Detoxing and cleansing. Interesting, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. This sort of struck me in part because it we are still in that first month of the year, and it's kind of that idea of beginning again, and also my own realizing how much. How much it feels like there's stuff that needs to be not there in my life. Stuff that's extra, stuff that's not being helpful.
Well, so we looked up a description of that. And why don't you read what that means?
Well, if you're detoxing your mind, body, and spirit, it would be something along the lines of actively cleansing and purifying your mental, physical, and spiritual well-being by releasing negative thoughts, harmful substances, spiritual blockages or negativity. And, this is accomplished through many different things, often forms of meditation, diet, and introspection regarding your own values and beliefs. It's a basic idea.
That's the basic idea.
Yeah.
And I think that I was thinking about this when I was looking at this topic. I was thinking we need to do like a manifesto or a manual or whatever for like detoxing your mind, body, and spirit in a relationship, because obviously it's always important. It's always important to take care of yourself first, but I think so much of it plays into a relationship. It's like, having leaky gut or something. Like if I have it, it's going to go over to you. You know what I mean? Or when I get COVID, you got COVID. It's just when you live together, that's just the way things flow, right? Or, if you're in certain relationships or partnerships or work relationships where you're with someone all the time, your opinions and your point of view matters, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And whatever we have that's got us wrinkled up somehow, thinking about things or looking at the world in a certain way which may not really be accurate, that then becomes a stumbling block to being in relationship with whomever, whether it's a work relationship or a personal relationship or even related to ourselves, because we have these false ideas and false thoughts that trip us up.
Yeah. So I think the first thing for me in this process is an awareness. I guess it's always the first step on some level, but an awareness of what you're taking in, what you're letting out, all of that. Like, I'm thinking back to Shay saying, if in the comments that she absolutely did not participate in the day of the inauguration day or anything thereafter, and I know many people feel like that. And so I think I think that's important, because I think that, for many reasons, whatever her reason was and whatever your reasons are, but there are reasons we choose not to participate. And sometimes it's not to let that in, not to let that affect you, and so I think it's an awareness and an awakening. And, and even if we talk about nowadays, like, let's start here. We're all affected by everything, right? So whether we know it consciously or unconsciously, whether we're watching TV, we're watching a movie, we're watching, the news, we take it all in. And so I think the awareness of how it's affecting you, or what not letting it affect you, I think that's a big step.
Well, basically what we're talking about there is circumstance. So whatever's coming into us is the stuff from the outside, and it's what's happening around us. And either it becomes a way to have us be aware of what's being believed and thought around us, or how things are going around us, or it becomes something that we believe we have to react to. We have to respond. We have to receive it as true and then do something. And so it becomes the thing that pushes us around, if you will. And the reality is that, we talk about living from that place that's not about circumstance. It's about the truth. It's about principle. What's the truth of what's going on? What's the truth of my life? And so that is, for me, what helps with understanding what's coming in. But if we just allow the stuff to come in, and if we don't notice it, we don't take note of it, we don't think about it, then it becomes our stuff. It becomes our own stuff. And I think that's part of the detox thing, is occasionally to take a little time to go, okay, what have I bought into recently?
Yeah. How much more have I taken on?
Yeah. And I found this thing that has talks about the 5 ways to cleanse your body, mind, and soul. But the first one it talks about is breath and breathing. And I think that is so important. We talk about it all the time. Stop, take a breath, to sit down and focus on our breathing, and go into a space where we're just focusing on what's right here, right now, in front of us, and those kinds of things. And so as simple as noticing our breath and allowing ourselves to take in a deep breath when maybe we're feeling like it's hard to, whatever, that can shift, and that supports us in cleansing out whatever those toxic reactions we're having are, or whatever's going on.
Yeah, I agree. I also think, for me, I know the breath is a reset. The breath is just the place where if I stop and take a breath, I can go to God. I can, whatever it is I need to do, but it's that reset of like where I have a moment to go, okay, what's really happening here? Is that the truth? What do I need to do? What's my part? Like, where I can ask myself some educated questions that allow me to move forward in a different way, instead of just moving forward in the craziness of the moment. So that breath for me is just really a reset. And I know I'm totally misquoting this, but I know that in like relationship coaching, they tell you to like breathe and count to 20 or something before you answer or react. I don't know what number it is, but try 20, maybe it'll work. But really just to take that space, and you can feel yourself come down, right? So yeah, so I think that's great. What else?
Well,
were you going to tell us more?
I could go on. I mean, the next thing I talk about is meditation, which is where we not only take the breath, but we take an extended period to be in that quiet space and to listen, and to allow our thoughts to just go where they need to go, and not experience them as the truth of who we are, to not allow them to become who we are, but to simply allow them to flow through us and know that they're just flowing through us.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note, like a lot of people have trouble meditating, or expect there to be certain results when they meditate. And this is just me, but here it is. I think meditation, each of us develop our own way of meditating, our own sense of meditating. And I think, instead of trying to do it right, if you can just figure out how it works for you, like I've done meditations, with people that people are saying, like, just let the thoughts come in, whatever they are. Don't try to get them out. Let them come in, let them come through, watch them go by. So whether you're in the silence and you're only getting your download from God the way that you think it should be, like speaking to you directly, or whether you're in the moment and your thoughts are going by, and that's just a different way God's speaking to you. And so I just encourage anyone, if they're going to use that meditation, not to try to do it right.
Not to get too caught up
not
in
to
how
be-
it's supposed to
yeah.
be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just thinking, as you're saying that, how many ways in which, some of us find ourselves really in a meditative state when we're doing something and we're not paying attention, if you will, at some level. We talk about washing the dishes, we talk about those kind of things, but I personally find it when I'm riding my bike. I'll just realize that I'm just totally in a Zen place because I'm just pedaling and staying on the path, kind of thing. That's it. And other people find it, walking through the forest, taking a run, a little more dangerous in the car, but sometimes it happens there too.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes, you're not going to close your eyes, obviously, but I think in the car, for me anyway, it's it's much more contemplative state, especially if I'm in somewhere I know, if I'm where I grew up my whole life, I can drive those streets without, needing to think, am I turning here? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? Not that I'm not conscious of that, but it's also, I do like to meditate in the car. I swear, I do.
That's good. We are not particularly recommending that for anyone, just so you know.
Yeah.
Okay,
Keep your eyes open.
Well, another thing is to move your body, because literally we all know, we've all heard, I think we've seen the studies, the different things that, our emotions, our experiences literally get caught in our body. And if we don't move, we don't allow ourselves to, literally, you hear the term workout, and I think a lot of workout is working out what's inside. It's not so much, it's kind of used like you're working out your muscles, you're being whatever, but it's like you're really working out your stuff so that you can go on. You're working out that space of frustration and anger, perhaps, or you're working out that old wound. And it's not necessarily conscious at all, but the moving of your body allows those things that are caught in your cells to move around so they get to a place where they can be released. And I think that's incredibly important for us.
Yeah.
And that's a part of the detox, if you will, is when we're following that.
Yeah. And I think, I just think it's so important to remember, we are these human sponges, and everything goes in, and we have to determine what goes out, what we release. So even when we don't think we're taking in things, we're picking up from the collective.
Well, I think Shay hit on something, a really good examples. She says, mindfulness is so important. I spilled my entire protein shake this morning. I was very pleased to experience peace around the dang mess instead of allowing it to mess me up. So, yes, being in that space of mindfulness, and it allows us to see things for what they are instead of for the thing that we make them out to be. If I spill my protein shake, I can be clumsy, I can be aging, I can be a dummy, I can be all kinds of things that I decide to label it based on this experience. I can be angry that now I have this mess to clean and all those things, or I can go, I spilled my protein shake. Let me see, paper towels, where are they? Right? And I think that's a whole different thing. And then she says, yep, literally say, I'm walking it off. Right. And I don't know if she did that particularly with the shake, but in other situations, that thing where you go and you move your body, you let it out, you walk it off, you release it. And I think that's a really important piece. Something that follows that up, though, is the idea of journaling. Now, you used to be a pretty good journaler,
Me?
didn't you?
Yeah. I did. Yes, I used to be a better journaler. In my mind, I don't like journaling.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why, but in my mind, I don't like it. I like it after I've done it because I'm like, oh wow, did I write that? Oh wow, did I feel that? Oh, it takes me back to a place. I like being able to look back on it. And I do think like when I did things like the Artist Way and we did morning pages and had to write, I do think it helps you get out a lot of stuff and prepare for the day in a different way. But would I say like that I'm the journaling expert? No.
No. But, something interesting about that, as you said, helps you get it out. Again, it's a way of releasing things that we may otherwise pretend aren't there or hold back. And we allow ourselves to express things on paper, to put things down. It's a relief. I think in many ways, the detoxing of us through something like journaling is not unlike the idea that we. I just screwed up and lost where I was.
Okay, well, we won't put any story on that. We'll let that go.
No, but it's something about releasing. We do anyway. I'll think of it.
Yeah. Well, again, and these are the normal things that we think about. I mean, that come up around letting go, releasing, and that we talk about all the time. And I think they're super important. I also think though that I think there's different kinds of cleanses and different ways to get it out of your body. I think diet also is super important. And when you're cleansing, your mind, body, and spirit. Like I know when we've done cleanses that it contributes when we can totally tell that our mind is clearer, that we have more energy, that we're feeling better, that all the different nuances of things that make you feel on top of your game, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because I think what we don't realize is how much contributes to all of that.
Uh-huh.
How many different pieces there are to that clarity and that ability to receive the world as it is rather than standing in judgment and all of that kind of stuff. There's a lot behind that, and sometimes it's because I'm just plain hungry that I have more trouble doing that. And sometimes it's because I didn't get enough sleep. And sometimes not necessarily because, but that contributes to the issue is what I'm saying. It's not necessarily the cause of it, but it's contributes to the issue. I haven't eaten or haven't eaten properly or I've eaten junk. I haven't gotten this proper sleep. I haven't exercised. I haven't, worked anything out of my body. All those things contribute to being in a state where we have a buildup of mental and physical toxins in our body.
So all right. So how do we move through this realistically in a day-to-day way? I asked the question. You have to answer.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. Well, I think I think working through it on a day-to-day way is one, being aware that it's important to release. It's important to detox. It's, because I washed my car 2 days ago does not mean my car would not benefit from a car wash today. Okay, that's basically how our body, our mind, our spirit is. Just because we've done such and such at one point does not mean in the next point or the next few points it wouldn't benefit from us continuing or adding to that.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. Sorry. And what comes to mind for me is when we've talked about on the show the Brene Brown thing with her husband.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain it?
I'm not sure if I can, but the idea that that in marriage, we have to come with our portion of the marriage, or in a relationship like that, you have to show up. And sometimes the idea is that,
And it stems from people saying marriage is a 50-50 proposition. And she says, no, it's not.
you have to show up as 100%. However, we can't always show up as 100%. We're not always in that space. And sometimes when we can communicate that to somebody else, the other person can choose to take up a little slack. And that's kind of the idea of it, that we can choose to support one another through those times, but we can't always show up at 100% because we often have that time, that space in our life that something needs to be dealt with.
So it reminds me of that because it's the ability, like she says that, like when she comes home, she'll say to her husband, my day has been like this and I don't have 100%, I have 40%. And he's like, okay, well, I got 60, I got you, or whatever numbers they have. Or he may be, well, I've only got 50, or, and then they negotiate from there. So, but the reason it reminds me of that is because it kind of reminds me, like, if we don't show up and with our partners or our friends or, our relationships, and if we're not able to express, I'm hungry, I got to eat before I can think, or, whatever it is that leads us to the bigger opening for conversation. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So how do we get to that place? It's like, because I think it's part of the pre-cleansing, really acknowledging where you're at, because sometimes sometimes, I may go, I'm hungry, but I can muddle through it. Let me just do it. And I do it. And I'm not as present as I want to be, or I'm not as nice as I want to be, or I can't listen the way that I like to listen. So taking responsibility for myself, is sort of key.
Yes. And I think, again, what I was saying before was that acknowledging that there's constantly opportunities for us to be taking care of ourselves and allowing the self-cleansing to be happening in one way or another, because part of that is you're cleaning up the mess of not having the proper energy in your body, the proper food in your body. So you need to take a moment and clean that up so that you can move forward. I'm having racing thoughts. I'm taking a moment to breathe and meditate and clean up that issue so that I can be present. Because otherwise, all I'm doing is thinking about all these crazy thoughts that are running through my head. That kind of a thing. If we pretend that we don't need to do that, then that's where we get into trouble. Because now, whenever it happens, we just react as if that's how life is. This is the circumstance I'm in. My mind is racing, and so I just have to deal with it. So now I get anxious. I get frustrated with someone else because they're not moving fast enough, or they're not being patient with me, or whatever my perception is of them, and it becomes a mess. And because I'm not detoxed, I'm not in a place of readiness for my life, then I struggle. Everything else becomes more of an issue than it ever would be. And so now those just add to that. So instead of being a one on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of an issue, it becomes a 5. So now that 5's added to my 1. Now I got a 6, and it just keeps
your
building
story
up.
grows. Yeah. So I think these are great. I think these are some big overarching concepts and things that everybody can be aware of. And I think, like, I would like to take a baby step. And what is that baby step? So what I'm thinking is that like our own awareness, and beyond the first awareness I talked about, but our own awareness just in general with our words or our actions, like how we find ourselves speaking to each other, to ourselves, to our children, to our family, and sometimes we pull it off as a joke, but what is the power of our word, right? And so, even I don't know, I'm just aware that, for example, I'm aware, like, every time this foster dog we have that's asleep in the background jumps on me, I'm like, and she is one heavy dog, let me just say for the record. And she comes at you like full force to give you all of her love. And I'm like, Frosty, you're killing me. I'm like, don't say that. Like, how often do we speak to ourselves like, to ourselves like that? Or when you're kidding around with the kids and you're like, don't be a dumbass, It's like, really, if we can change some of that behavior, I think that will keep us clean on some level. And yeah. And I mean, I think it's beginning. We need to begin to live fearlessly in that we need to really be aware that we are speaking our word when we speak our word.
Yes, and that we can speak that word without worrying about whatever else comes back, because what comes back is not necessarily a reflection of what we've spoken. It may well be a reflection of whatever the person hearing it thinks, right? So oftentimes, if we're standing in the truth and we are clear, then we can speak something and we're not freaked out when someone else gets upset or someone else comes back with something that wasn't expected, because we are clear. Interesting that showed up that way for them, instead of, oh my God, they don't like me, or what did I do wrong, or whatever, because we're clear with ourselves. And I think that's really one of the important things about cleansing and detoxing our mind and spirit, is so that we have the clarity with ourselves that we're not trying to do something to make everyone else happy or think something or do whatever, but that we're speaking the truth to the best of our ability.
Right, but that's why I'm saying sometimes, I mean, I'm saying really be aware of what we're thinking, because
Right.
sometimes we do think that someone's a dumbass, and is that our call? You know what I mean? Is that where you want to live from? Is there another way that it can be phrased or thought or put out into the world?
Good questions.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we hold an amazing amount of power,
Mm-hmm.
and we are carrying the frequency that we want to see. So if we talk about, yes, I stayed away from this, that, and this event because I don't want that in the world, and then we turn around and throw our words the same way perhaps the person that we were avoiding does, how are we being responsible to the love?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you.
I've left you with things to think about.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think it's really about us becoming fearless with ourselves, with our word. Shay was sharing that she does a cleanse, an Ayurvedic cleanse. Ayurvedic cleanses are an amazing, amazing thing to do. Amazing source of clarity and power. I think there's so many ways, but I think especially in this day and time as we go forward, I'm reminded of the 4 agreements and be impeccable with your word. And what does that really mean? That doesn't mean sometimes, that doesn't mean only when you're talking about this person, or, it's like really beginning to live into what we believe. And we're only human. It's not, everybody's not supposed to do it perfectly the first time out, but, just being aware,
That was an itch. Sorry.
Alrighty.
I had to detox my head right there.
It's great. So the moral of the story is, if you have an itch, scratch it. All right. Apparently my husband has left the building, so I'm gonna end us here. But thank you so much for being here and just continuing this journey with us. Yeah, it's an amazing journey, and we all hold our piece in it. So cleanse, let go of what doesn't serve you. Let it go. We promise that if you have to pick it back up, it'll be there.
Yeah. And try some things that might help you. Try to breathe, try to get out and move your body, do a little journaling, sit down and meditate. Take the time to do something that will support you in doing that work. To make yourself the shake in the morning that's got all the stuff in it you need, whatever it is.
With a tight lid on it.
With a tight lid, yeah. Tight lid, and don't drop it on the floor. But besides that, yeah.
It's okay. Shay knows that the floor was where it was supposed to go. She's all right. So keep all that in mind. Rock the love. You know that the world needs it more than ever. And we at New Thought Media, thank you so much for being here and listening and allowing us to spend this time with you. If you're moved, we always will accept a donation to keep this good work going. Check out other shows on the network. There are so many interesting shows and things that you can find here. And keep rocking the love, everybody. And we'll see you next week.
Rock on.
Thank you, producer Michael Mangus. We love you.